Get ready to enter the Thrivetime Show.
Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here.
We started from the bottom, now we're on the top. Teaching you the systems to get what we got. Colin Dixon's on the hooks, I break down the books. Z's bringing some wisdom and the good looks. As the father of five, that's why I'm a dive. So if you see my wife and kids, please tell them hi. It's the C and Z up on your radio. And now 3, 2, 1, here we go.
We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get.
All right, everybody, we're getting ready to get started up. We're going to be in chapter 12. We're going to jump into the wonderful world of sales. Spend a little bit of time there. Chapter 12, page 200, I believe, is where we are. Okay, and you guys, again, I think I've already said, I spent 10 years as actually 15 years as a high school science teacher and coach, and then,
Boo.
yeah, thank
Boo.
you, and then left teaching and spent 10 years in ministry.
Yay.
There we go, there we go,
Yay.
thank you very much. Yeah, I led my family's ministry for 10 years. It was a Christian summer camp just north of town. And it's where I grew up, and so that was a lot of fun. But get this, teaching and ministry never taught me anything about sales. I didn't have a clue on how to sell things. Aaron, you've probably found this as well. I was an incredible teacher. Okay,
Yeah.
you may have found this, that I was an incredible teacher.
You were an incredible
But
teacher.
I was, and I won awards as a teacher.
Yep.
And then when I went into ministry, I'd have people come up and go, "Oh, you changed my life, man. The words, everything you said, just, it'll never be the same," and all that kind of stuff. But there was never a connection between how good I was and how much money I was making.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, it was pretty much the opposite. I remember winning our first state championship as a track coach and becoming the Missouri State Track Coach of the Year. It's like, woohoo, it was awesome.
Yes.
Paycheck came, it was the same.
It was
No change.
$400.
No change at all.
$400.
And
great.
so somewhere along the way, I don't know how it happened. My parents didn't teach me this, but somewhere along the way, I never attached, actually I kind of went negative on it. I didn't attach value to money. And so when I started my company, and the idea was for me to begin to sell my value to people, I had no idea how to do it, number one. Number two, I had actually built up a mentality that said that was wrong for me to do that. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Am I touching anybody? So it was like sleazy. When I thought of sales, it was like the slick back hair used car salesman. And I'm going to trick people, and I'm going to steal. Sales, for me, sales meant steal. And I would hear phrases like, well, Clay, if you're starting your own business, you're going to have to eat what you kill. Anybody ever heard that phrase in the sales world? You're going to have to eat what you kill. And I had no idea how to hunt. I didn't know. So I was terrified because I did not know. Again, number one, I didn't know the moves of sales. But then when I would listen to Clay or when I would read books, Brian Tracy, man, I read everything I could find on Brian Tracy and sales. I would read all this stuff, but it went through this filter in my head that sales was wrong. And all of a sudden I realized I am trying to become somebody that I hate.
Well, there's a very misquoted Bible verse. Money is the root of all evil.
And of course, because I was a believer and because I was in ministry, I had brought God into that equation too and mixed it all up. And it was actually more righteous to be awesome but poor. That was a more righteous thing. It was jacked up. Clay sent me to a conference to learn how to think about money, and I was just crying, snot. This is a 3-day thing, and I mean, it was ugly. I was on the floor. It was bad, okay? But for the first time, I began to realize how to think about money correctly. And up until that point, I was literally trying to become somebody that, subconsciously I hated. That rich, successful businessman. So it took me about 18 months to work through my brain jack up stuff until I began to get much more comfortable with the very simple moves of sales. Okay? They're simple moves. They're not difficult. They are simple moves. But if there's a mindset in place that keeps those moves from happening, it will seem like, well, Clay, I don't think you fully understand my situation. Does that make sense? I remember saying that to Clay Clark. Clay, I appreciate that. I appreciate that I actually need to call leads, but I don't know if you really understand my business. How I want my business. Okay, it was jacked up stuff. But once I got through some of those that mind field, how'd you like that, what I just did?
Ooh,
didn't see that one coming.
That was good.
Yeah, once I got through all that stuff.
There's that science teacher coming out.
Thank you very much. It became much simpler. Not necessarily easy, but it became much simpler. Because I remember Clay said, you need to start, the very first move, Clay said, is you need to start calling 100 people, making 100 phone calls a day.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah, Clay, there's nobody in the history of the world that's ever made 100 phone calls a day. I don't know if you know what you're asking me to do, but that's like, it's not really how I'm going to build my business. I'm just going to be awesome, and people will pay what they want. I mean, it was just bad, My first handful of speaking events I did for free because when they said, how much do you charge? Just whatever. How about if I just come and do it? It's like, how does that work? Well, again,
it's
in my brain,
that bad?
Yeah, exactly. So Clay helped me work through that. Well, Clay sent me to a conference to help me work through a bunch of that mental stuff. So I have a feeling that as we start talking about sales today, there may be at least one person in the crowd that can relate to me that you've got this thing in your mind about sales and you don't like sales. Raise your hand if anybody knows what I'm talking about. Sales, it's just uncomfortable with sales, all right? On that, good luck, okay? But we are going to give you some very simple moves to become tremendous salesmen and women. These are simple moves. These are simple moves. But if you have trouble with them and you know it's a mindset thing, come and talk to me. Because we're not talking about mindset today. We're talking about action, taking the actions.
And you don't actually have to own a gun to do this type of sales, just so you guys
This
know.
is good. Thank you.
You don't have to hold anybody up. It's going to be good.
It happens a lot simpler this way. So let's do this. Got to get these on, okay? So let's do this. Let's go to page 204, okay? We're going to talk about some core tasks for marketing and sales. We've already hit a few of them. Number one, we've already hit defining your ideal and likely buyer. But let's start there, okay? I don't know if we've necessarily talked a whole lot about this. But for your company, when it comes to advertising, when it comes to marketing, when it comes to throwing out the bait, okay, to get people to give you a phone call, the idea is we want to try to find who is our ideal and likely buyer, okay? It's very rare that a business owner in our groups, it's very rare that it's going to be, well, Clay, everyone is my likely buyer.
No.
Probably not. We need to narrow down who is your ideal, your best and ideal likely buyer for you.
I was going to jump in here and say, so when I first got to Shaw Homes, we were building higher-end homes, very beautiful. You walk in, it's the kind of home that makes you go, wow, these are beautiful. And we were building them, but everything we did was a very custom home. It was a one-off, and then the next one we had to redesign it, and that was a one-off. And so what I realized was our ideal and likely buyers are the high-end homes. How many of those are there in any market? Well, that's the ones there's the least of. So I was like, but wait a minute, most of the people that keep coming to us and looking for a home, they're like, what do you have down here at this lower price range? And so what we were doing is we were building for the classes and we were living with the masses. And what we needed to do is build for the masses, and then you can live with the classes. So it was a mindset shift to go down in price. Did you know no matter what you do, there are more buyers at a lower price? Oh my God, somebody needs to write that down. Yeah. There are more buyers at a lower price no matter what you're selling. So we shifted from the high end of the market down into the lower price point in the market. And you know what we found out? Our ideal and likely buyers were everywhere. Oh, that's a novel idea. So all of a sudden, we go from selling, 50 houses in a year to selling 500 houses in a year almost, overnight. Because it's like, oh, there's a lot more buyers down here at this. It's the Walmart principle. And so, but we had to pinpoint who is the person we want to help. And, sales is find a problem and solve it, right? So the problem was there's not very much housing in Tulsa that's really affordable. So that was the problem. So it's like, how do we go solve that problem? And here's the thing. You will be unbelievably successful in business if you can figure out how to be a blessing to a lot more people. That's really how you become successful and sell a lot of something, is like, how can I be an absolute blessing to the most people I possibly can? If you can figure that out, it's amazing how much money you make. So that was kind of our goal, is like, we have all these people who want a home, but we're up here and they can't afford it. Let's get down here, and there's a lot more buyers, and all of a sudden we started thriving.
Yeah. So again, finding your ideal and likely buyer. We've got a client, Brian D. Wiggs, here in Jinx, Oklahoma, and he is a custom builder for high-end. When we started with Brian back 3 years ago, his high-end homes that he was building were around $750,000, $800,000. Now, so far this year, he's already building a $4 million home and a $2.8 million home. So he has moved his, rather than down into the masses, he has focused in on his ideal and likely buyer and has moved his up higher and higher. So again, it's not what Aaron does that's your thing. It's not what I do that's your thing. It's what you do that is your thing. So here on page 4, for you to take some time and write number 1 there, what are some of the characteristics of your ideal and likely buyer?
I would just point out, like, what we were having happen is we were having all these leads come to us, and we were like, I kept saying, I don't have any leads. I had tons of leads. I just didn't have leads for high-end houses. And some of you are getting leads and you're going, I just don't have any. Can you give me the good leads? I need the good leads. Yeah. Has anybody ever seen Glengarry Glen Ross?
Man, again.
Do not watch that movie if you haven't seen it.
When you're trying to learn sales and you've got an issue with sales, do not watch that movie.
No, it's horrible.
That
Every other word is an F word. But it's basically these group of salespeople who are fighting over who gets the good leads. And some of you are getting leads and you're like, I just don't have any good leads. Well, maybe it's because you're trying to do something for somebody, not realizing your ideal and likely buyer is the one who keeps asking you for the thing you're not doing.
Yeah. So let's run through Ryan over here. Ryan Wells. How would you identify your ideal and likely buyer? What is your business, and what is the ideal and likely buyer for you?
We do real estate photography, so we take pictures of houses that are for sale. And so the question I have to answer is, who is selling houses, right? And so for the most part, real estate agents. And so that is who my main ideal and likely buyer is.
Were you guys able to hear that? He does real estate photography, so he's saying my ideal and likely buyer are real estate agents. Bam. That's who I'm going after. Okay? Who else has a company and you feel like you have identified clearly who your ideal and likely buyer is?
Homeowners.
Okay, what's your business?
Rear
Remodeling.
Glue
Okay.
and nails.
Homeowners. Very good.
Yeah, I'm going to point out one quick thing. So I remember when Clay had his DJ business, he would go and DJ, 4,000 weddings a year, his company would, and the brides kept going, this is great, but, I'm having a hard time finding somebody who actually, like, I can rent that dance floor from and the little crystal ball that spins and the lighting and stuff. Do you know anybody? And so Clay's like, my ideal and likely buyer, maybe I should also sell or lease out the dance floor and the crystal ball. And then it's like, and I also keep having people say, well, I don't have a photographer. I can't find a good photographer for the date I need. And he's like, maybe I should sell the photography. So selling is find a need and fill it. And Ryan does a great job of this with Flow Photography. He's found his niche. And if you find a niche, you can get rich. It's really interesting. But he's found that niche. He doesn't do every kind of photography. You don't do necessarily weddings and go out and do shoots for, kids' birthdays and stuff. No, he's got a niche, and he just stays right in the middle of the niche, and he's getting rich doing it.
Fantastic. So what we're talking about, Aaron's talking about number 2 here with what are the needs and wants of your ideal and likely buyer. Let's go to number 3, clarify the unique value proposition, which we have just talked about here earlier. Number 4, specifically determine your no-brainer offer. Okay, now get ready for a little bit of pushback. Okay, this is usually when we are talking with clients early on, we bring up that no-brainer offer, and immediately they go, Clay, that'll ruin my brand. Cheapens my brand if I do if some type of a special offer. Okay, does anybody know what I'm talking about? Don't want to ruin the brand. It happens all the time, which I get. But the idea is we need to incentivize people who are very possibly buying service or products that you sell. Currently, they're buying them from somebody else. So we have to incentivize them to try us. One time, try us. Give me a chance. Give me a chance to wow you. And then I'll try to get more business. Does that make sense? So we're trying to pull them from somebody else that they may have been with for a long time and bring them to us. So that's what that offer is there for. Why, Aaron, do they call it a no-brainer offer?
Because you don't need a brain to figure it out. So I'll use Ryan again as an example because his business is kind of a cool model. But in Flow Photography, he's got these realtors out there. They get really loyal to the photographer that does all their stuff, right? They have a relationship with them. And you need to break through the noise of that to be able to get them to even listen to you in the first place. So what's your no-brainer offer? It's right there on the site, right? It's schedule your first shoot for $1. So, they're using this other person, and he comes in and goes, well, I'll do one of your houses for $1. And they might be paying $450, $500 for a full shoot on a home. Well, they can save $450 on one shoot they know. But they're not going to know how professional and how his team will show up on time. They'll do a great job. And instead of saying, I'll have your photos for you by Friday, I promise. And then, on Friday, they call, we haven't gotten the photos. Well, did you think I meant this Friday? I meant next Friday. No, the people are live
Friday.
on
I'll
their
get
listing.
them to you on a Friday.
And so they try him one time, and he's like, he under-promises and over-delivers. So I'll have it to you on Friday, and on Wednesday he has the photos to him. They're like, he's better than those other guys. So the no-brainer offer becomes a no-brainer because it gives you an opportunity with someone who's not going to give you an opportunity a lot of times. So
is this making sense on that no-brainer? So this is like an initial move in sales is to incentivize people who are currently buying other services or products from somebody else. They're giving their money to somebody else. You're incentivizing them to give you a chance.
Clay,
give you a shot.
When you look at also what it costs you to get a customer, like running ads, running Google ads,
cost of acquisition,
all of that cost, you're getting a potential customer that you're not having to spend any money on. You're making $1, and you're not really cheapening your brand. If you look at it like that, what cheapens your brand maybe is not having any sales. So that could
that will cheapen your brand for sure.
But think about what it costs you to get a customer,
Yeah.
the marketing dollars that you might spend, and now you're saying I'm getting an opportunity to earn repeat business in his case by just doing it for $1 to get my foot in the door.
Yeah. So it's this concept of a no-brainer offer. Again, the idea is you want it to be so good that they don't really even have to think about it. Okay?
And
it's an offer that your competitors are not willing to give.
Yes.
You know, it's an offer that your competitors go, man, there's no way I could do that. Now, obviously, you can't say, I'll build your first house for $1. Okay, that's not a no-brainer.
We tried that. Yeah, it didn't work.
It's not so good.
We had a lot of people who wanted to, but no.
Jumped in.
No, in my business, it's kind of interesting because, you know, I'm not going to be like Ryan where I'm going to go out and go, I can do it for $1, and maybe your business isn't that way, because a realtor is going to buy a whole bunch of sets of photos of a whole bunch of houses over their career, but most people buy a house and it's like 5, 10, 20 years before they buy another one, right? So it's not a repeat customer. But what happens is people go out there to this Google machine and they search for whatever it is, new homes, you know, in your market or whatever, and they're going to look at 30 different people's websites, but they're only physically going to come visit like 3 or 4 builders before they make a decision. They're not going to visit a whole bunch. So my goal is to make the cut of the 3 or 4. I want to be in the top 10%. And maybe you're in an industry where it's like, we only get one sale and it's a long time before we get another one. You just want to make the cut where they're going to reach out to you instead of the other 30 websites that they looked at. Does that make sense? So that's kind of what you can do with a no-brainer as well.
Fantastic. So again, that's an initial move in the sales world, is that no-brainer offer, some type of special offer. And I promise you, if you put out there, this got me, I drove by over on Memorial, okay, about 91st and Memorial, drove by the Mercedes dealership. They had a Mercedes sitting out front. They go, get into this Mercedes for $300 a month. I went, woohoo, boom, I'm in. You know, I promise you, I did not drive out of that lot in that Mercedes at $300 a month. No. They said, "Oh, you want tires on it? Okay, here we go. Oh, the engine. Well, that's going to be a little extra, you know, type of thing." But the offer is what got me in. Okay, that's what got me there.
This is the idea called a loss leader. So when you're first offering them something, it's like Dr. Zellner and Associates, you know. They're like for like 20 years, they've had the $99 offer for an exam and some glasses. Well, you know, I mean, that's for the first eye exam. You know, you got 2 of them. Oh, that's going to be a little bit more. You know, it's like I'm kidding, but
most people don't want the $99
Not
glasses. Everybody
likes the lenses, you know, that you end up later having to tape the corner because they're not the best lens, you know, or the best frames.
But that's
not everybody
what
likes those frames.
That's what gets the lead.
Yeah.
And then once you get them in, you can wow them. And this is another thing, this is another step. I have gotten a lot of pushback from this, from clients, not a ton, but pushback from clients because they know that their product or service has a lot of issues. They know that it's got a lot of problems. And so they're going, Clay, people really don't do a lot of repeat business with me. And so this is hard. Does that make sense? So again, we want to make sure that we don't suck. All right? If we're doing these no-brainer offers, we want to make sure that our product or our service doesn't suck. And I did write a book about that, okay? Just don't suck, all right? Because, again, the competition out there really is so low, and the service and the products are so low that if you can just not suck, you can really win in multiple markets. Does this make sense?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, very good. Let's do this. Coming back to our book here, let's jump over to page 205, and let's go to number 10, okay, because I want to get specifically into the sales moves. Let's talk a little bit about a duplicatable inbound sales scripts. So get ready for another. If you've got some issues with sales, your skin's gonna start crawling here because I'm talking about using a sales script. How many of you guys already, just go ahead and raise your hand. Clay, I've got an issue because you're starting to talk about a script. Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. Okay, got a whole bunch of people lying right now. Okay.
A lot of liars in here.
A lot of liars in here.
The altar is open for liars right now. Any liars?
If you're with a bus or in a group, they'll wait. Just come on down front, okay? But yeah, so this idea of a sales script, again, I wanted to be much more spontaneous. I wanted to be able to just talk. I wanted it to flow and all that. You guys, if you personally are the one that's doing all of the sales, okay? If you're in that place right now in your company where you are doing all of the sales, I get it. Don't have a script, okay? Okay, don't have a script. But if you ever want to turn sales over to another person and have them help you, if you don't have a script, I promise you they won't sell the way you want them to sell. How many of you guys have found out you're awesome at sales? Raise your hand. You're great at sales, okay? What you want to do is reproduce yourself. And the script allows you to do that. If you don't have a script, what you're doing now is you're telling somebody else, I want you to go talk to these people and sell our product or service. And they'll go, okay, I'll go do it.
And they're going to suck.
And they're going to suck. I promise. They're going to talk, and they may be having a bad day, or there can be all kinds of reasons because they are not you. Is that coming across? So the way that you reproduce yourself, if you're awesome, is you write a script. And then you use that script every single time to have that to have the production. So you can say, I use this script, and I know that it will close this many deals for me if I use the script.
Every time you call Shaw Homes, everyone answers the phone the exact same way because there's script. So all of the level ones that sit in a model that are fielding those inbound calls, because I call them sometimes just to mess with them from a different number. And, they use a script because you want your customers greeted a certain way. And do you really want to leave that to someone that maybe doesn't have a whole lot of training and maybe doesn't have the energy like you do and doesn't care about your business as much as you do? You don't want to leave that to them. So you give them a script. So this is how I want the phone answered. How do they answer the phone at Shaw Homes?
Thank you for calling Shaw Homes. How can I make your day great?
That's right. You can sell me a home for $1, thank you.
Yeah, people always go, they laugh as soon as you say that. Well, let me think about how you can make my day great. That's a great question. It changes the tone of the conversation right off the bat because most people are kind of blah through life and life is going on. And then they get somebody really cheerful on the phone. How can I make your day great? And they're like,
what if they know by the caller ID who the person is? Do they just use a different script?
No, they still use the same script.
Nice.
And what if you call?
They will use the same script.
Okay. Yeah. How many of you guys saw Tom Cruise in Top Gun or the second Top Gun? You guys like that movie? I mean, I loved it.
Not when Goose died.
I don't know if it's because I've got testosterone, but I loved it. It was great. Okay, I love movies in general. This is fantastic. You guys, Top Gun started with a script. But it was because they were able to turn the script into something that felt real. That's what made that a great movie. If each of the characters were sitting there talking like this, like they were actually reading a script, we wouldn't have gone to the movie.
Are you telling me that isn't real life?
Yeah. But they can take that script and turn it into something that feels real.
Goose didn't really die?
How many of you guys have ever felt like, I don't like scripts because they sound scripty? Okay? Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking, because that was me. That was completely me.
That means you're doing it wrong.
It sounds scripted. That just means that you haven't taken the script and owned it yet. Mm-hmm. You're still uncomfortable with it. You don't know the script. And so you're spending more time looking at it and reading it than you are just being able to read it or to say it.
You got to get it out of your head.
In it and stuff like that.
Out of your head into your heart.
So that's why. Thank you very much.
Really, out of your head into your heart.
Yeah, that was great.
No, honestly, if I woke you up at 3 o'clock in the morning and just said, tell me about your coaching program and what you do, you're going to be able to do it because you own it. Because it's not if you're not serious about it, then write it down and read it like it's a script. But if you actually care about winning, then maybe practice it a little bit.
Yeah, and we want to help you. We want to help you get to a spot where you don't have to be the one to be there every day. Okay? Yeah. But without a script, you've got to show up every day because you're the only one that can really sell. your product or service. But if we get a script, we can turn it to other people, and then we can move on. It's just like Sean, who is my employee. Sean, raise your hand back there. Does an incredible job as a coach. He does so well that I'm able to go over to the Capitol and be at the Capitol for 4 days a week during the spring. Because he's got the script. He's got the path of what he's going to be doing with each of his clients.
Yeah, and for the person who's like struggling with this, I don't want to read a script. I don't want my people reading a script. Let's name like a lot of the really high-paid professions in this world, because they're all scripted. I'll give you an example. NFL, do they get paid a lot of money? Right? When Tom Brady was a quarterback, what does he do? On this play, he takes 3 steps backwards, stops, looks for a receiver who takes 8 steps forward, straight forward as fast as he can, turns 90 degrees, goes 3 more steps and turns to look for the ball to be thrown to him. Everything is a script.
And when it screws up, it's because he goes right instead of left, right?
That's true.
He didn't.
And then you also have Tom Cruise was a great example. What does he do? He reads a script, but it never sounds like it. High-paid person. Let's use...
was it a script when he was bouncing on Oprah's couch? Or was that...
I did not see that.
Ed Sheeran.
Probably was.
Any musician. Ed Sheeran. When he sings a song, does he change the words each time? Or does he sing the same words every single time?
No one knows what Dave Matthews is saying.
That's true.
Nor does Dave. Quick note here. On the sales scripting, who here has a business where somebody other than you answers the phone? Anybody here? Anybody? Okay, so I'm gonna walk you through this, and then we're gonna answer some questions on the whiteboard. But I want to make sure we're on the same page here, and someone should write this down on page 0. How your employees feel doesn't matter at all, ever, under any circumstance. It's not related to what needs to be done. You know, so if you just get rid of that, you're fine. But if you do think about it, you'll never be successful. I don't ask my staff like, "Do you want to make 300 calls?" And I don't care if they're motivated to do it. The motivation is called compensation. You know. So we have a really great culture here, or else. Be happy or else. It's incredible. Okay, so, you know what I mean? So let's talk about like the Garden of Eden, right? The Garden of Eden. Who knows that story?
Yeah.
God says, hey, don't eat from the
tree in the midst of the garden.
And then Adam's like, but I don't feel like this is a fair rule. No, who cares? You're gone. Bye. Right? Bible states, seriously, it says God punishes the hand of the slackard, punishes the diligent, Proverbs 10:4. It's not like God punishes the slackard if you feel okay with that. Does that make sense? We're on the same page? So now you as a leader can make it fun and create fun aspects to it, but you at the end of the day you can't focus on how they feel. Are we getting this idea?
Yeah,
that's
good.
Good.
So let's talk about this real quick. So
Again,
I want you to take note.
The E can get in place of the motion.
So let's go to page 0 for a second. I just want you to jot this down. Okay, it's called merit-based pay, and for every job there needs to be merit-based pay. So if you're out there today and you're a realtor, or you're a pastor, or you're a doctor, or you're a lawyer, or you're a home builder, or you're a business consultant, whatever you are, there should be some sort of win, in what you do. So if like for the Reawaken America Tour event, for example, I count baptisms. That's sort of my stat I look at. Because there's no really other good stats. Financially, not good. Not good. Ooh, don't look at that. Not good. But I look at that because to me, I've met so many wonderful people who say, I came to the Reawaken Tour, I saw Pastor such and such talk about this, and my whole life changed. And that to me is like the thing that fires me up. That's my merit. Are we on the same page? But in America today, most people view compensation as the reward, or they're not going to do it. Are we on the same page? Like very few people will say, oh, yeah, so you want me to come to the conference, your business, your Reawaken Tour, and work 100% for free? So just in. If you buy a shirt, I pay everybody $3. Aaron, why do I pay everybody? If you buy a shirt or a hat or a book, why do I pay my salespeople $3 if they sell a hat or a shirt?
Because they will not attempt to sell anything if you don't pay them $3 for everything they sell.
Now, let me tell you about this on merit-based pay.
They will drink coffee. They will relax. They will talk about the game, but they won't
This is
sell.
real. This is real. This is the real raw. This is the stuff behind the stuff you will not hear anywhere else because other business conferences are trying to be politically correct or whatever. I'm just being real. So we're in Tampa. I'm paying $3
per shirt,
per
book, hat, whatever.
There was like 8,000 people. Who was in Tampa? Anybody in Tampa? There was like 8,000 people, and one lady on my team, she sold hundreds of shirts. JT, you were there, and you sold. I don't make up the number, but like hundreds of shirts. And he's walking up down the aisle selling shirts. He's like, want a shirt? Ice cold shirt. Get yourself. That kind of thing. Selling shirt. Ice cold shirt. Get yourself. Anyway, so he's selling shirts. Well, so I'm watching this. And then I see a man who no longer works here. We'll call him the Gremlin. He kind of reminds me of Schmiegel. If you look at his soul, it looks like Schmiegel's face. And he's like, I sold 1,000 shirts. I'm like, there's no way you sold 1,000. I did sell. I mean, this guy, he doesn't sound like that, but I look into his soul, and that's what I hear. I sold 1,000 shirts, my precious. I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. And he's like, oh, yeah, I did. 1,000. So I get back to Tulsa. I found out that he and his manager agreed they would split the commissions and they would lie about it together. Fired both of them. Jackson knows a couple of them. But anyway, so I fired him. So I'm telling you, in America, money is like the carrier. It's the compensation people. It's what they want. It's the carrot people want. However, you got to know people will lie to you about. So you got to have merit-based pay, but people will lie to you. Are we on the same page? So I'm like, so I look at the guy who said he sold 1,000 shirts, and I'm like, that's incredible because you haven't really spoken a word in the office ever. You know, when not, I mean, it's crazy. You go outside, smoke, come back in, not talk to me. It's amazing. You sold 1,000 shirts. It's incredible. Maybe people are attracted to your nicotine. Maybe they're attracted to your gremlin-like persona. Maybe the idea that you act and look like Schmiegel inside, maybe that's what appeals to them. Maybe that's what it is. It's crazy, So I started asking people, this guy sold 1,000 shirts? And they're like, so this, you should write this down on page 0. Only the paranoid survive. Only the paranoid survive. That's Andy Grove, the founder of Intel. Only the paranoid survive. Only the paranoid survive. That's a guy who escaped communism to start Intel. You got to be kind of paranoid to survive, okay? So you got to have compensation. So everything we just talked about, everything that Clay Staires just taught, that Aaron just taught, you have to have merit-based pay.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm hoping this is some good learning. This will be kind of funny, but it's true. Don't judge Aaron. Aaron, we're going to go rapid fire, and you get ready. Fire. When he goes, one up him, okay? We're going to So you installed cameras in your business. I told him, I said, Aaron, put cameras inside the homes at shawhomes.com. You sell houses, put cameras in the model homes. Aaron told me, he says, Clay, and by the way, Aaron has the ability to speak Osteen, which is a nice Christian Oklahoma thing he does. He's like, Clay, my guys are good people.
My people are good people.
You're good people. My people are people. I don't hire people like you hire. I don't hire Darth Vader and Schmiegel. No. I hire good people. And I said, let's just put the camera in the homes and watch. And what did you find?
Well, first of all, everybody revolted that it was illegal, immoral, unethical.
Yeah.
And the ones who said that, I then found out one of my salespeople quit because I was immoral, unethical.
Absolutely.
It was illegal to put cameras in. And the following day, I had a new salesperson in there, and this customer walks in and says, I'm here to sign my contract. And she's like, I've brought all my blueprints with me. And she rolls them out, and they're blueprints of a home we don't build. Drawn by her, the girl who quit, and to build with a builder that's not our company.
So she's in the model home pitching for another guy for a higher commission. Make sense?
Yeah, that happened.
Now, real quick. Now, this is just I'm just being real. I'm trying to help you. Trying to help somebody. How many of you have people that are in the field? They leave your office. You put that GPS up on that thing. You tell your staff, I'm putting a GPS up on that thing. It's on the car. So I'm meeting with and you're going to one-up me. You're going to have a better story. I'm ready. Get yourself prepared. So I'm working with a pharmaceutical company. And this is before I knew about the big Pharmakia. Now I rebuke Pharmakia. I'm so sorry. I repent for working with Pharmakia. But I'm working with Pharmakia. They're paying me a lot of money to teach them how to sell drugs. And by the way, if you want to become a pharmaceutical sales rep, this is what you do. Hey, doctor, how's it going? Can I buy you a salad? Doctor says, absolutely. You buy him a salad and you go, I really don't know what's in this medication, but if you want to go on a vacation, you should recommend this. And the doctor goes, that's cool. Okay. And that's called all pharmaceutical. Who's worked in the pharmaceutical industry? That's how it works. Doctor, how are you? You want a salad? I do want a salad. Cool. You want a vacation? I mean, you want to learn about this medication? Sure. Where's the vacation? I mean, what about the medication? It's in Tahiti. Great. I love that. That's how vaccines work too, by the way. It's the same. It's just it's a compensation thing. Okay. Anyway, so I said, let's put the GPS on your sales guys, on their vehicles. Let's tell them. So the client says, it's unethical. It's immoral. I don't want to micromanage. I said, okay. Can we put it on before we tell them? He goes, you're dirty. I go, I'm dirty. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah. So I put it's like Jack Palance from City Slickers. Yeah. Oh yeah. So I put the GPS on the vehicles, and I said, guys, we're going to have our first sales meeting. This is in Tulsa. The sales guys gather. It's about 15 guys. I said, guys, I'm Clay. I'm your new sales trainer. And starting next week, we're going to have, we've been gathering data on your cars where you're driving. And starting next week, we're going to analyze it. And we'll talk about it. As soon as that meeting, these guys are like, oh, God. As soon as the meeting gets out, big guy comes up to me, he's like, I go to night trips every single day. I go, the adult strip club, you go there every day? Every day. We all go there. All of us. We're all going to get divorced. Please don't tell our wives. I'm like, you all go. It's just like what we do. It's a thing we do. We go. I'm like, so you all go to night trips? Yeah. Oh. He's like, do you have it on our cars yet? I said, no, not yet. He's like, oh, you're a benevolent. You're a great man. Because how many of you put GPS on your guys' vehicles? Who's done it? And did you find crazy stuff? You did?
Oh, yeah.
Ernie, you found crazy stuff? Yeah, it's crazy. There's a local police department that decided they'd put GPS on the police vehicles to make sure the cops weren't taking the cars on vacation. And it turns out the cops were taking the cars on
vacation.
Right. Boop, boop. So if you want to stop jackassery, you got to install cameras.
We did, yeah.
You got to put the GPS on the car. And you also want to have call recording. That's clarityvoice.com, clarityvoice.com. And if you're a pastor, preacher, teacher, presenter, sales coach, watch the video of the presentations that your staff is delivering. I worked with a pastor years ago. We decided to watch the video footage of the youth pastor delivering the sermons for the first time. And Aaron, do you want to speculate as to what the youth pastor was doing for the first time when we watched him on video with the youth?
He was probably saying things that were not good.
He actually wasn't preaching at all. He's like, guys, you guys want to play basketball?
Oh, nice.
I want to play basketball. Let's do volleyball. I don't really want. Let's do. He never ever taught the gospel ever. Because he didn't want to, because it's the easy. Does that make sense? We're on the same page? I'm not ripping pastors, pharmaceuticals, or anybody. I'm ripping all of us because we're all fallen people. And unless we are convicted that God is always watching, we will constantly do weird stuff unless we have the fear of God in us. Okay? So you've got to install the fear of God called GPS, call recording, video recording. Do you have a better story?
Not better than yours.
I got a really good one, Clay.
Yeah,
Can
go
I
for
share
please,
this
because these
one?
are real.
Oh.
I don't live a dark world. He
So,
lives the dark world.
There
Okay.
was a lady, let's just call her Catherine.
Yeah, Catherine.
And that was
Stop.
her name. Okay. So customers, these clients come in, and the clients literally start off the conversation. We just sold our home. It was about $700,000. We're kind of downsizing. We're going to pay cash for our next home. And we've looked at a lot of homes, but we really like yours online, and we just wanted to get some information. As the customer's comment. She takes her flip-flops off because she's wearing flip-flops and shorts. Shorts that if you lift your leg up, you probably see more than just what you want to see. And puts her foot on the table like this.
Yeah.
And takes a pen and starts digging the toe jam out from between her toes while she's talking to the customer. With
now,
these
real quick,
short shorts on.
That's in his sales manual.
I actually
he teaches
have
people.
this
That's the best
video
practice.
saved. If anybody would like to see it, it's quite interesting. Not
Now,
really. Not
I'm
really. Not really.
I'm giving you more. I'm just trying to help you. I'm trying to help you. How many of you have not installed call recording in your office or video? How many of you have not done it? Who has done it? And who's caught this sort of stuff? Who's caught the guy stealing stuff out of the showroom or back room or how? I found one of our employees at Elephant in the Room. This is a true story. Downtown, she looks around and doesn't see a camera. And it's correct. That was when you were downtown with me. That she did the fake fall. So she looks around because she knew other people would gather, and she fake. Remember we had that ramp back in the back, Kirk? So she does a fake fall, fake forward roll, and then she goes ah, just starts yelling because she knew that the rest of the staff shows up at 7 a.m. So at 6:57, she looks around, and then ah, Well, then next thing I know, she's like, she hurt herself at the workplace, wants to file a thing. Her attorney reaches out. So I told the attorney, I respond. I said, watch this video footage of your client. I'd like to get your thoughts as to what the cause of injury was. And their attorney reaches back out and says, we sorry, Mr. Clark, sorry for, but this was like a big, she wanted to say she slipped and fell, and she literally looked around, waited, 6:57, does a forward roll slowly just in case someone sees her, and then just starts screaming until people show up. And that kind of stuff. Aaron, you've seen it. I've seen it.
Oh, yeah.
So what am I talking about? Sales. You got to have merit-based pay. There's got to be a carrot and a stick. So I'm trying to help you. So if you want your callers to make 200 calls a day, it's got to be like, you can make 200 calls a day. You're making $13 an hour, okay, let's say. And then every time that you don't make 200 calls, you make $8.25 because you live in Oklahoma and that's minimum wage and you did minimum effort. There's got to be some sort of like, yes, there's consequence, okay? Another example, Shaw Homes, you make a 1.7% commission if you sell something.
Yep.
And if you don't sell something, what's the commission?
It's exactly 0.
Right.
Yeah.
And most people, how many of you have people that you've hired that do sales and they want to make 0 commission? That's their passion. So you got to have I'm asking you to write it down somewhere on page 0. What's your merit-based pay program going to be? There's got to be like, if you get, if you want your staff to get Google reviews, every time you get a Google review, you get this or this happens. There's got to be some sort of reward consequence. There has to be, and it's not mean to do that. Who's ever read the Bible? Sean, will you look this up? He that spareth the rod hateth the child. I know DHS is immediately calling me right now. He that spareth the rod hateth the child. Who knows about that?
Yeah.
So it's not mean to have, but if you don't have merit-based pay in place, what's going to happen by default?
People will go to the minimum effort.
There's got to be a merit-based, but you also want to make it exciting for the employees so that they want to do well, so that they get some sort of compensation. So back to my Tampa Gate here, the teammate that actually did sell 300, 400 shirts, they made great money. They made like $1,000 a day. But the guy, the gremlin, who said he sold $1,000 of stuff in a day, that did not happen. That did not happen. It did not happen. And so I had to fire the guy. But there's got to be some sort of merit-based pay. Are we on the same page? Okay. So think about your church, think about your business, think about your organization. There's got to be some kind of merit-based pay. There's got to be some sort of how many of you go to a restaurant? You go to restaurants? Who here, you tip well if the service is good? Who here tips like 15% even if the service is hood? Like if it's bad, you're like 15%, son of a... 15, okay, that's kind of how my dad taught me. You tip 15% even if you're pissed.
Yep.
25 is like you're that guy killed the game. 50, it's because you love that man. More than that, it's unethical. You have a relationship. It's kind of weird. So 50 is the max. How many of you kind of have that style? That's how it should be, though, in your business. There's got to be merit-based pay. Staires, anything else you want to add about that? Because we come back, we're going to answer all these questions. Anything else you want to add about sales?
Well, not about sales, just with the merit-based pay. This is one of the moves that you have to help you build and manage your culture in your company, is having that merit-based pay. If everybody is coming in making the same pay no matter what they do, then it just really brings down the culture. It brings down the motivation. Like I was telling you, as a high school teacher and coach, I was winning awards and pay didn't change at all. And so over time, you begin to say, okay, I'm doing this just out of the goodness of my heart. But that's why we end up getting a lot of days in schools out there where, hey, it's a movie day today. We're going to watch a movie. And kids will love you. Kids will sing your praises, but they won't learn anything.
Well, and you get the really high-achieving people that work for you, and if they're making the same amount as the person sitting next to them who literally tries to do anything but their job while they're at work, that person who's highly motivated and is just killing it, they're going to get very frustrated and they are going to leave your company. But that person who gets away with not doing anything, they will stay for a very long time.
Yeah.
We're going to take a break. We're going to come back at 10:15. I need Ronnie Morales. I need Ronnie Morales to head on up here, and then Randy Antrican as well. We're going to answer some questions on the board. So Ronnie Morales, Randy Antrican. We'll come back at 10:15. Let's hear it from the band here, Highway Worship Band. They have a plan. All right, Thrive Nation, on today's show, we have an opportunity to celebrate a client who's what we call a diligent doer, somebody that doesn't just want to know what to do, but somebody who wants to apply what they're learning. We call this person not an ask hole. An ask hole is somebody who asks a question but doesn't want to actually implement what they're learning, because we know here that vision without execution is hallucination, to quote Thomas Edison. Vision without execution is hallucination. We know that knowledge without application is meaningless, to quote Napoleon Hill. Knowledge without application is meaningless, to quote Napoleon Hill. And I'm fired up for you to hear the story about today's guest. Tavis, welcome on to the Thrivetime Show. How are you, sir?
Hi. We are doing amazing, doing it rocking and rolling. So
I got to ask you, for people that want to go to your website, what's the web address we need to go to verify you're not a hologram?
FullArmorWindowsDoors.com.
FullArmorWindowsDoors.com. I'm pulling that up right now. And what do you guys do? What are the services that you guys provide?
Well, we started windows and doors. We have our own in-house installers, but actually started doing a little break into roofing, siding, and now we're kind of looking at some other options too to expand our full list of services. So,
Now,
yeah, but right now we're rocking.
how did you guys first come in contact with us? I know you guys service Nebraska and Iowa. How did you first come in contact with us?
Your show is how we found you, and then reached out to you and haven't looked back.
How long have we had the opportunity to work with you guys?
Since 2021 is when we started, just beginning of the year.
My understanding is you're having a record sales month. Is that accurate, or is that hyperbole?
No, that is accurate. We had 1 week where we hit 184,000, and that was 1 week. So every week past that, that month we hit, I think it was around 250 in the month, and one sale alone was 115.
Wow. So for people out there that are kind of discouraged or doubtful, I talked to a guy this week. True story. I go to church with this guy, and he came to our business workshop because his pastor told him to. His pastor said, "You need to go." He said, "Look, I am your pastor of your church, and I go there. You should go. You should look into it." How would you describe what the coaching experience has been like for you, for people out there that are on the outside, kind of looking in?
I meet with Andrew every week. We kind of go. We have an agenda. We start with our normal, just going through the metrics. What did we sell? What's our what do we have outstanding? How many leads did we get in, and where did those leads come from? And then did we do what we were supposed to do in terms of metrics? And then from there, we have an agenda. Did we write our content? Did we do all the tasks assigned to us for the week? And then we just kind of review, and then after that, then we kind of see what our hangups are, and if I'm having trouble with something, then we kind of work through that.
How would you describe who your ideal and likely buyer is? Like if someone's listening right now, who could buy products or services from you guys?
Any residential homeowner. So anyone that owns a home. So for windows, doors, roofing, if you own it, we can help you.
Anywhere in the United States?
We're pretty much right now in Nebraska. We do a little in Iowa as well. So, but that's kind of our main service right now. But at the same time, we're gonna, probably look into some other options as well.
Now I'm
other towns.
This up here because I want people to understand the totality of what we do or don't do. What I found is early on as a young guy in business, I reached out to a business consultant, and I'm not going to mention the guy's last name or his name of his company, but his first name was Bruce. And Bruce, God bless him. I was, 18, 19 years old. And I said, "Bruce, I need to grow my company, djconnection.com. I don't know how to grow it. I'm stuck. I'm working 3 jobs, Applebee's, Target, and DirecTV. Could you help me grow my business?" And Bruce says, oh yeah. And Bruce used to say, he was kind of East Coast guy. And he'd say, "Oh yeah, baby, I can help you. Oh yeah." And then we would meet. He'd say, "Oh, Clay, you just got to work on your business, not in your business. You got to work on your business, not just in it, but you got to work on it." And these things were helpful, but he never really walked me through specific moves that I needed to actually do. So it was very theoretical, but not necessarily practical. So I want to get into the practical here, into the tactical, the practical. So as we look at my book here called A Millionaire's Guide How to Become Sustainably Rich, box 1, we got to establish our revenue goals. And I'm not asking you for what your revenue goals are, but does your organization have your revenue goals clearly determined?
Yeah, absolutely. And Andrew's been helping us define all those as well.
Now, the second box, you have to know the break-even numbers. I mean, you could be excited. I could be excited, but I just had a conversation with my wife about one of our businesses and what the break-even number is. And it's very important that everybody out there knows the break-even number if you have a business. Do you feel good about the break-even number?
I do. We've been able to offset some things too to help make that a little bit lower, to help make everything profitable. But really at the same time, that's where we really had no idea what it was when we first started. We're like, well, I guess it makes sense that we have that, and it really does. And it's given us a benchmark to start, and then after that, then it's just celebration after that too. So
now this is my schedule. And this is a typical week for me. And I block out my time into half-hour blocks And that's what I do, so I wasn't shocked that we were going to interview you today, nor were you shocked that I was going to interview you. And so the time blocking is a critical thing, but most people, the average American, does not time block. In fact, Nielsen right now, Nielsen reports, this is a real thing, I'm not making this up. Nielsen now reports the average American now spends 11.3 hours per day distracted by media. 11.3 hours a day. What? 11.3 hours per day.
Wow.
Distracted by media. So I know Andrew has worked with you guys on building a sustainable schedule. Do you have clarity now as far as how many hours a week you're going to work and what you're going to be doing during those hours?
Absolutely. And actually, that was a huge game changer, just having that all spelt out and time blocked and to-do lists, all of it. I used to have stickies everywhere, and sometimes I still use it as memory, but my desk was covered, and putting it into to-do list and start blocking it, and then it's been easy ever since. Now, it is the biggest game changer.
Now, box number 4 is determining your unique value proposition. So if you had to describe what you guys do at Full Armor that separates you from the pack, what would that be?
It's a lot of it's our in-house installers, but we even were just talking about this with the group. It's our attention to detail and quality, where we hear stuff around where people are slapping windows in and leaving, and where, a lot of our feedback comes from of, hey, these guys take that extra mile just to make sure things are done right and they look nice. So we hear it a lot, and to me, that's what really separates us.
Now, branding, I know working with you, that's something that a lot of people get excited about. However, I will tell you, folks, that's an event, not necessarily a process. That's where you make your website look first class. That's where you work on your website to make it look great. That's where you work on your logo, your print pieces, your videos. You're optimizing the branding, and branding is what people see. So branding is the opinion that somebody has, or the reaction somebody has when they first think about your product or service. And on part 2 of today's show, I'm going to do a deep dive with Michael Levine, the world's most celebrated public relations person of all time. He'll be on part 2 of today's show. This was the PR guy, the branding guy for Nike, for this real story, for Charlton Heston, for George Carlin, the comedian. This is the branding person of choice for, at the same time, he represented both Bill Clinton and George Bush. Wow. This guy, this is Michael Levine. And for people there that don't know who Michael Levine is, again, I'm going to pull it up. This is like the world's top PR guy, and we're going to do a deep dive into it. He's written books about it. He's been celebrated for doing it. He was the PR consultant for Prince and for Michael Jackson at the same time. He's been written about in Variety, Forbes, New York Times, and you can write whole books about it, and he has. But at the end of the day, you got to make sure your branding looks first class. And at fullarmorwindowsdoors.com, fullarmorwindowsdoors.com, you guys have done that. Can you talk about the branding and how much that's impacted your business?
Well, got one right here on already. So it's recognizable. Everyone knows our logo now. Even just the simple things like wrapping the trucks, wrapping our trailers, having it on the website. Like, people are recognizing us. They're like, oh, we've had installers come in before. Like, I've seen you around town and had to check you out. So, and it's been great because now people just anywhere are like, oh yeah, I've seen you around and things like that. So it's been huge and been a great help.
Now, for folks that don't know this, we charge a flat fee of $1,700 a month. We charge $1,700 per month. And then my goal with all my clients is to enter into what I call a non-equity partnership. So a lot of my clients, when you come to conferences, you'll discover I've worked with clients for 7 years, or wow, this guy's, Clay, you've worked with the same client for 12 years. One of my clients, I've actually worked with this client for 15 consecutive years. And so people, when they come to a conference, they feel like they're part of a family. And again, we charge $1,700 a month. It's a flat rate. And with those non-equity growth partners, we get a small percentage of the growth. And that's something we could talk about later. But how has it been for you guys, knowing that all of this, the implementation of all this, graphic design, photography, video, web, search engine, everything is all fitting into that $1,700 flat monthly set it, forget it price?
There's so much that you guys do for that price, and along with it, then we're just growing constantly. Even just a short amount of time we've been on, you probably already heard the phone ring a handful of times already. So, it's all but just been amazing and everything like that. So.
Now, for the sake of
Absolutely.
time, I want to totally respect your time today, but I also want people to know we help you with your sales conversion process, the scripts, the recorded calls, the one sheets, the pre-written emails, helping you determine your sustainable customer acquisition costs, building checklists and processes for everything, whether it be onboarding a new hire, whether it be installing something. We got to build checklists and systems for everything. Then we have to teach management systems, how to manage employees, which would work off of the idea that we also help finding employees. So many business owners today say they can't find employees, let alone manage them. This is all of the things that we do. We help you learn how to hire, inspire, train, and retain top quality people. But I want to get your thoughts on this, and I want to respect your time. For people out there that are thinking about going to thrivetimeshow.com and scheduling a consultation, it's a free consultation. It's a free 13-point assessment. What would you say to anybody out there thinking about it?
I would say, why are you still thinking about it? I'd say give it a call, because proof's in the pudding, so we've been doing great. And I mean, there's no sense in hesitating at this point. I've listened to the show. I've been a partner for how long? Since 21. Everything is knowledge, and there's no reason to be holding back and not making that call. Absolutely.
And how much has the coaching, how much have you grown since we started working with you as far as a percentage, if you had to factor in a percentage or maybe some sort of stat in terms of growth? Because obviously this week, I have the notes pulled up here, this week we're celebrating, and this is so important for people to know this. You should look this up, folks. We're celebrating the best sales week ever, $186,243 of sales. How much have you grown since we started working with you?
We're 100 and probably 35 to 45% growth.
Wow. And again, you're a real person, real business. I'm going to pull up the website one more time, folks, so you can see it. And if you're out there today and you're discouraged or you feel like you don't have what it takes to do it, folks, we have a proven plan. Everybody, you can implement the proven plan. We have in-person workshops you can come to. We have one-on-one coaching. If you go to fullarmorwindowsdoors.com, you can see a recent testimonial with today's guest. But if you want to see thousands, some people like to go up here and just watch these until their head explodes. I talked to a guy this weekend, and he told me, he said, Clay, I have watched, I think, all of the testimonials. I said, you have? And he says, oh, yeah. And I said, that's incredible. Wow. And he said, I went through, I scrolled down, and I hit play, and they were great. And I said, did you click the button where it says see thousands of additional testimonials? And he said, there's more? And I said, well, yeah, we have over 2,000 and we enumerate them. So we actually know this is a verifiable fact. We don't have, hundreds. I mean, we have thousands of video testimonials, and that works for our business because we document the success, but it also works for your business. Could you share how, in closing, how has gathering objective reviews via video and Google, how has that impacted and improved or changed your sales process? Because again, somebody out there today, they're looking on the outside going, I just don't see that I could ever grow my business like that. How has gathering objective Google reviews, video reviews, and building that gallery impacted fullarmorwindowsdoors.com?
Well, the easy answer is we've grown 135%. So there's that. But we could tell a huge difference from the moment we started getting more of those reviews. We had a jump initially that we jumped like 40 reviews in like a week or so. And all of a sudden that phone started ringing like constantly. It boosted us. Similar with the video testimonials, people that go to our website are like, well, you guys are doing something right. You got all these people that are even just talking about you on video. So it adds a trust layer to any potential customers out there for sure.
And again, that domain, it's a little bit of a tricky domain for people that are looking at it for the first time. Just to be clear, it's fullarmorwindowsdoors.com, fullarmorwindowsdoors.com. And I'll sneak in one final question. I think a lot of people will reach out to me and they say, Clay, what's the most important thing you do to grow businesses? And some people want to hone in on marketing. Some want to hone in on accounting. Some want to hone in on hiring. Some want to hone in on sales. Let me try again. There's how I look at it is there's four major boxes. Some people want to hone in on marketing. Some want to hone in on sales. Some want to hone in on hiring. Some want to hone in on accounting. I would argue it's all of those all of those areas, all 14 areas of the business growth path are needed to achieve success, not just one. I'd love to get your reaction to that as a longtime client who's having success, because you know how it is. When you come to a conference, people ask you, what's the one thing you did that changed the game? I'd love to get your reaction to that.
Well, I'm kind of on the same. It's everything. It's all parts, because the marketing helps bring the sales. And once we started growing, we got stuck. We're like, well, shoot, we need more people to help service all these people now. So having a plan and hiring, I mean, so it all works hand in hand. It really does. And so that when it comes to one thing, you know, one thing sets a domino effect of everything else. And that's the only way for it to grow. We can't just focus on the marketing, otherwise then everything else would go. So it's the whole package that really makes everything successful.
Now, coaching is all about, you know, accountability. One, you got to have someone hold you accountable. Two, you got to know what to do. And three, you got to have someone who can help you do it. What am I saying? One, you have to have the accountability. Two, you have to know what to do. And then three, you have to have someone that can help you through it if you get stuck. How would you describe the coaching experience? We have a weekly meeting. It's a weekly meeting. It's a flat fee. But how would you describe that weekly coaching meeting with Andrew and our team?
We have a checklist. We go through our agenda. Here's what you need to do next week. And then, so when we're having our meetings, it's, did you do this? How did it go? What do we need to do from there? So it's everything you just said. It's we have a plan. Andrew's keeping me accountable. And then we're discussing then as well of what our next step is, and having that person to communicate with and talk to, you know, like, here's what's going on. Like, what do you suggest? And you don't always have that person sometimes, depending on what it is. And, you know, Andrew can answer all the questions we have. And if he doesn't, he knows how to get it and, you know, have an answer shortly soon, you know, and it all, I mean, it's just great. Otherwise, you know, it's easy to drop off and be like, oh, okay, maybe we'll do it next week or something. But you have that one guy, Andrew, calling you, like, where you at with this? Like, yeah, I need to do that. So if you miss one at the time, you're like, okay, I shouldn't do that again.
Now, if you had to describe what we do in like a sentence, maybe, like if you had to say, or maybe sentences, I won't try to paint you into a corner, but sentences for somebody who's, how would you describe in a sentence or sentences what we do?
Business coaching services. And that's really kind of, it's a whole program that really helps grow everything. It's, you know, I thought, you know, at one point, like, oh, okay, we got to do all this. And in one sentence, it's just the coaching and helping create a legitimate, profitable business.
Brother, I am so honored to know you and to have you on the show. And for people that want to verify, we know your first name's Tavis. What's your last name so people can look you up and verify you're not a hologram?
Tavis Hine. Hine's the last name.
Tavis, I really do appreciate you, sir. Thank you so much for your time.
You.
You guys are first class there. And again, folks, that website, if you haven't been to it, it's fullarmorwindowsdoors.com, fullarmorwindowsdoors.com. Take care, sir. Have a Merry Christmas, and we'll talk to you soon.
You too. All right. Thank you.
I learned at the Academy in Kings Point in New York. Acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say.
All right, Thrive Nation, on today's show, we're going to be breaking down what Robert Kiyosaki has recently been talking about. Robert Kiyosaki, the best-selling author, the New York Times best-selling author and real estate investment guru, has recently been talking more and more about acta non verba. You say, what's acta non verba? Well, one, it's Latin, so don't get too concerned there, but it's acta. Again, this acta non verba. What it means is action. You need to watch what people do and not what they say. That's the idea. Watch what somebody does and not what they say.
Hi, I'm Ryan Wimpy.
And I'm Rachel Wimpy, and the name of our business is Tip Top Canine.
Our business is a dog training business. We help people with behavioral issues and teach their dog how to listen. When I was learning to become a dog trainer, we didn't learn anything about internet marketing or advertising or anything at all. Just dog training. And that's what's so great about working with Clay and his team, because they do it all for us.
So that we can focus on our passion, and that's training dogs. Clay and his team here, they're so enthusiastic. Their energy is off the charts. Never a dull moment here at Thrive.
We've been working with Clay and his team for the last 5 months, 2 of which have been our biggest months ever. 1, our biggest gross by 35%. Clay's helped us make anything from brochures to stickers, new business cards, new logos, scripts for phones, script for email, script for text message, scripting for everything.
How I would describe the weekly meetings with Clay and his team are awesome. They're so effective. It's worth every minute. Things get done. We'll ask for things like different flyers, and they're done before our hour is up. So it's just awesome, extremely effective.
If you don't use Clay and his team, you're probably going to be pulling your hair out, or you're going to spend half of your time trying to figure out the online marketing game and producing your own flyers and marketing materials, print materials, all the stuff like that. You're really losing a lot as far as lost productivity and lost time, not having a professional do it. It has a real sense of urgency and that actually knows what they're doing when you already have something that's your core focus that you already know how to do.
You would also be missing out with all the time and financial freedom that you would have working with Clay and his team.
We would recommend Clay and his team to other business owners because they need to be working on their business, not just trying to figure out the online game, which is complex and changing daily. So no one has a marketing team too. Most people don't. They can't afford one, and their local web guy or a local person that they know probably can't do everything that a whole team and a whole floor of people can do in hours and not just weeks or months. There's a definite sense of urgency with Clay and his team. I used to have to ride other web people, really ride them to get stuff done, and stuff is done so fast here, and there's a real sense of urgency to get it done. It's great.
I learned at the Academy, Kings Point in New York, acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say.
Deeds, not words. So acta non verba, deeds, not words, or acts, not words. James, a lot of people, they come to our business workshops because they're listening to our podcast, our business podcast, and they say, man, I want to achieve massive success. And they see some of the testimonials and they go, if that guy could do it, I could do it. That's kind of where it starts.
I see it happen all the time, Clay.
Because your desk is about 2 inches from mine, I think.
Right.
And so people will say, oh, if that guy can do it, then I can do it.
That's correct.
So the two big principles I want to teach on today's show, just two principles. One is this idea of acta non verba, means acts, not words. The second concept I want to teach is that money is a magnifier.
I was looking to learn how to take my business, like they've said today, from being very successful to being systematic. I've got a very successful practice in 3 different cities, make good money, just want to take it to the next level with systems and processes to where I can drive my cars more.
Paul Hood.
I have been a CPA for 33 years.
And what kind of growth have you and your great team had here over the past, let's say, 5-6 years?
For the last 5, when I met you 5 years ago, we were doing 3 million. This year we'll do 24 million.
Which is more than, and he's an accountant. So we're going to talk about that. So Paul introduced me to Bob because he said there's a guy that came into my office looking to raise some capital. I think that was the thing. And he needed to get some sales going. That's how. And so if we tell Paul, from the accounting perspective, I'm going to pass the mic to you. You do accounting. Why do you have to have a website that makes sense and all that branding stuff? How has that impacted your brand, having websites and all those branding things in place?
Well, when I met you, like most CPAs, I thought my clients only come from referrals, but we get 500 leads in a 2-month period every month just off of Google. And so this is my face. We have 17 offices across 4 states. We have in every state, but this is our face. Like what you were saying, it's visual, and it also us to say why we're different. That about us from there is spectacular, and it just it's an industry that is changing. We're modifying it. We offer our services in a subscription model to where it's all inclusive, and it's just been awesome.
Will determine the level of success.
So success in business is not what you know how to do, it's actually doing it. And so the thing that I would tell you is stop it. Get a freak like this guy and let him go after it. Insane. Because then you can be doing what you do well, and take that time and invest in something else on top of that has contacts. And I don't get anything for selling his, just telling you what he's done for us so that we could focus. And then he'll come in and I'll say, I think I've got it all. And he listens for 5 minutes and he makes one, and I want to slap myself in the face. Well, why didn't I think about that? That's idiotic. But they're sick freaks. They just get it done.
I don't know. I think it's because it's merit-based pay in our office. So if the people here, like, they get paid. So if we were taking on your account and someone else to do this, but if you hired a different marketing company, I'm just giving you best practices. You want to make sure that they win when you win. So like in our office, if we grow Dave Asey's podcast, that benefits our company to the extent it benefits them, but we actually benefit if they benefit. Does that make sense to you?
I learned at the Academy, Kings Point in New York, acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say.
So on today's show, I'm going to just hammer testimonials. So you can see people that heard about the conference through a podcast or through a friend or whatever, and they had a business that was stagnant. It was stuck. It wasn't growing. It wasn't thriving. It was just surviving, right? It was stagnant. It was stuck. It wasn't growing. It was just stagnant. It was stuck. It wasn't thriving, it was surviving. And they heard about the podcast, they heard about the conference, they heard about the success stories, and they came to the conference. That's step one. They came to the conference. And by the way, if you go to thrivetimeshow.com, thrivetimeshow.com, you can name your price for all the workshops I do. We want to make it affordable for everybody. So they came out to the in-person 2-day workshop. They went to Thrivetime Show. They requested a ticket. We called them, got them their ticket. Then, James, we interviewed them after the conference, and we said, how was it?
Hey, I'm Ryan Wimpy. I'm originally from Tulsa, born and raised here. I've definitely learned a lot about life design and making sure the business serves you. The goal setting, well, it's not like it's somewhat basic stuff. Making sure we have different goals for every part of your life is super important. Also, the linear workflow. The linear workflow for us and getting everything out on paper and documented is really important. Like we have workflows that are kind of all over the place, so having linear workflow and seeing that mapped out on multiple different boards is pretty awesome. That's really helpful for me. The atmosphere here is awesome. I definitely just stared at the walls, figuring out how to make my facility look like this place. This place rocks. It's invigorating. The walls are super, it's just very cool. The atmosphere is cool. The people are nice. It's a pretty cool place to be. Very good learning atmosphere. I literally want to model it and steal everything that's here at this facility and basically create it just on our business side.
I learned at the Academy, Kings Point in New York, acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say.
And they said, oh my gosh, I learned so much about business. I learned about the workflows and the marketing and the search engine optimization and the branding and the hiring and the checklists and all this, the bookkeeping, everything, the search engine optimization, the online advertising, the social media. I learned it all. Woo! Yes, I learned it. However, it's acts, not words. Acta non verba. So James, if somebody comes to a conference and they learn all this stuff, but they don't apply it, what happens?
Nothing happens.
But there is a certain group of people, not our listeners, who run around acquiring information and they don't apply it.
Those are the worst types.
So this is what happens is Napoleon Hill, the best-selling author, he says that knowledge without application is meaningless. Napoleon Hill, the best-selling author of Think and Grow Rich.
Hi, I'm Aaron Antis with Shaw Homes. I first heard about Clay through a mortgage lender here in town who had told me what a great job he had been doing for them, and I actually noticed he was driving a Lamborghini all of a sudden, so I was willing to listen. In my career, I've sold a little over $800 million in real estate. So honestly, I thought I kind of knew everything about marketing and homes. And then I met Clay, and my perception of what I knew and what I could do definitely changed. After doing $800 million in sales over a 15-year career, I really thought I knew what I was doing. I've been managing a large team of salespeople for the last 10 years here with Shaw Homes. And I mean, we've been a company that's been in business for 35 years. We've become one of the largest builders in the Tulsa area, and that was without Clay. So when I came to know Clay, I really thought, man, there's not much more I need to know, but I'm willing to listen. The interesting thing is our internet leads from our website has actually, in a 4-month period of time, has gone from somewhere around 10 to 15 leads in a month to 180 internet leads in a month. Just from the few things that he's shown us how to implement that I honestly probably never would have come up with on my own. So I got a lot of good things to say about the system that Clay put in place with us. And it's just been an incredible experience. I am very glad that we met and had the opportunity to work with Clay. So the interaction with the team and with Clay on a weekly basis is honestly very enlightening. One of the things that I love about Clay's perspective on things is that he doesn't come from my industry. He's not somebody who's in the home building industry. I've listened to all the experts in my field. Our company has paid for me to go to seminars, international builder shows, all kinds of places where I've had the opportunity to learn from the experts in my industry. But the thing that I've found working with Clay is that he comes from such a broad spectrum of working with so many different types of businesses that he has a perspective that's difficult for me to gain because I get so entrenched in what I do, I'm not paying attention to what other leading industry experts are doing, and Clay really brings that perspective for me. It is very valuable time every week when I get that hour with him. From my perspective, the reason that any business owner who's thinking about hooking up with Thrive needs to definitely consider it is because the results that we've gotten in a very short period of time are honestly monumental. It has really exceeded my wildest expectation of what he might be able to do. I came in skeptical because I'm very pragmatic, and as I've gone through the process over just a few months, I've realized it's probably one of the best moves we've ever made. I think a lot of people probably feel like they don't need a business or marketing consultant because they maybe are a little bit prideful and like to think they know everything. I know that's how I felt coming in. I mean, we're a big company that's definitely one of the largest in town. And so we kind of felt like we knew what we were doing. And I think for a lot of people, they let their ego get in the way of listening to somebody that might have a better or different perspective than theirs. I would just really encourage you, if you're thinking about working with Clay, I mean, the thing is, it's month to month. Go give it a try and see what happens. I think in the 35-year history of Shaw Homes, this is probably the best thing that's happened to us. And I know if you give them a shot, I think you'll feel the same way. I know for me, the thing I would have missed out on if I didn't work with Clay is I would have missed out on literally an 1,800% increase in our internet leads. Going from 10 a month to 180 a month, that would have been a huge financial decision to just decide not to give it a shot. I would absolutely recommend Clay Clark to anybody who's thinking about working with somebody in marketing. I would skip over anybody else you were thinking about, and I would go straight to Clay and his team. I guarantee you're not going to regret it because we sure haven't.
I learned at the academy, Kings Point in New York, acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say.
Knowledge without application is meaningless. So, James, if somebody comes to a conference and they learn all this and they don't apply it, that doesn't matter because the idea is acta non verba, acts not words. So if people come to this conference, you're going to see testimonies of people who came to the conference and they say, wow, I had no idea that this was possible. And then you're going to see people, I'm going to show you testimonials of people that applied what we taught them. People that have grown their accounting practice. Now, by the way, in accounting practice, this is not someone who has invented the concept of accounting. There's other accounting. This just in. There are other accountants.
My business consists, I'm a CPA and a financial advisor, And we're very successful. I wanted to go from successful to systematic. I wanted to learn systems and processes so that the business can run without me.
I learned at the academy, Kings Point in New York, acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say.
But this person, they came to the conference, they learned about how to scale their company. I taught them how to create a subscription model for their accounting as opposed to doing the traditional accounting model. And they've grown the company from $3 million to over $20 million. Wow. Then you're going to see a testimonial, a success story of a home builder who grew the home building business from 15 million to over 150 million, a home builder. And by the way, this just did. There are other home builders, but this home builder grew from 15 million to 150 million of sales.
That's life-changing, Clay.
You're going to hear about a dog trainer who came to this event. Now, let me tell you about the dog trainer. He came to this event, and he had a wonderful business that was it was stagnant. It was stuck. It wasn't able to grow. He was a great guy, knew how to train dogs, but he didn't have a no-brainer offer. He didn't have a website that was optimized. He didn't have branding that made sense. He didn't have a one-sheet.
I'm Rachel with Tip Top Canine, and we just want to give a huge thank you to Clay and Vanessa Clark.
Hey guys, I'm Ryan with Tip Top Canine. Just want to say a big thank you to Thrive 15. Thank you to Make Your Life Epic. We love you guys, we appreciate you, and really just appreciate how far you've taken us.
This is our old house, right? This is where we used to live a few years ago. This is our old neighborhood. See, it's nice, right?
So this is my old van and our old school marketing, and this is our old team. And by team, I mean it's me and another guy.
This is our new house with our new neighborhood. This is our new van with our new marketing, and this is our new team. We went from 4 to 14, and I took this beautiful photo. We worked with several different business coaches in the past, and they were all about helping Ryan sell better and just teaching sales, which is awesome, but Ryan is a really great salesman. So we didn't need that. We needed somebody to help us get everything that was in his head out into systems, into manuals and scripts, and actually build a team. So now that we have systems in place, we've gone from 1 to 10 locations in only a year.
In October 2016, we grossed 13 grand for the whole month. Right now it's 2018, the month of October. It's only the 22nd. We've already grossed a little over 50 grand for the whole month, and we still have time to go. We're just thankful for you, thankful for Thrive and your mentorship, and we're really thankful that you guys have helped us to grow a business that we run now instead of the business running us. Just thank you times 1,000.
So we really just want to thank you, Clay, and thank you, Vanessa, for everything you've done, everything you've helped us with. We love you guys.
I learned at the academy, Kings Point in New York, acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say.
He didn't have branding that made sense. He didn't have a one sheet, didn't have a pricing structure that worked, didn't have a linear workflow, didn't have an office culture environment, didn't have decoration in the office that would make people want to work there, didn't understand the process of hiring, inspiring, training, and retaining great people, didn't have a pro forma, didn't know how to franchise, didn't know how to license. But what we do, James, is we take people in, they come to the conference, they learn this stuff, and they go, could you teach me how to do it? And I say, absolutely. Now, folks, here's the secret sauce that allows me to be the boss. My job is to make big obstacles seem small. What? Here's the secret sauce that allows me to be the boss. My job is to make big obstacles seem small.
Favorite aspect is probably just how entertaining it is, and the fact that I pick up 1 or 2 or 3 things every time I come to take my business to the next level. Well, if people are missing out on basically a plan, a guaranteed plan, pretty much if you're willing to work it to be successful. Most people, I think everybody should attend one of these workshops at least once because you don't know what you don't know. And we're not taught to be successful in school.
I learned at the academy, Kings Point in New York, acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say.
A lot of people, they have a fear or a phobia of scaling their business or building the processes. They feel like they don't know what to do, or they need kind of a coach or a mentor to guide them down the path. And so on today's show, you're going to see people that came to a conference, step 1. Step 2, we taught them how to, how to apply these principles at the conference. Step 3, they hired us to help them scale their company. Step 4, you're going to hear their success stories. Now, James, money is a magnifier.
We have a little bit of news for you guys. It's now what, May 31st at 6:21. You've been closed for 20 minutes.
Right.
No, it's now June. So let's run the numbers for May. Let's see what he's got.
Totals 102,837.
What's last year to date? 102,837 this year.
And last year was 60,667. Whoa! Coming out of the weeds now.
Boom, baby.
Boom! Out of the weeds, onto the pavement.
I learned at the Academy, Kings Point in New York, acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say.
What does that mean? Because we're going to share with you some stories today of an accountant who grew a business from $3 million to $20+ million, of a home builder who grew a business from $15 million to $150 million, of a dog trainer that was able to scale his business from a stagnant business to 15+ locations, to grow the business that was perpetually stuck at 400,000-ish, grow that into a $1 million+ annual revenue.
This year's sales for this week.
So this is the same week last year. Do you see the difference? Look.
What is that? I can't really tell. One is,
look.
Michael, can we just I just want to get it. Jason, can you kind of pull this end maybe, just so you can see it? It's kind of pull it that way. Let's get the link. That's more of a. I can't tell that the link. It's hard to tell.
Look at that. Okay.
So that's last year's sales.
This is last year's sales, and the total is a mere $4,711.73. Same week this year, 2015. The total is, read it, Michael.
$11,313.50.
Oh, boom! There it is.
What?
Awesome.
Hello, my name is Charles Colaw with Colaw Fitness. Today I want to tell you a little bit about Clay Clark and how I know Clay Clark. Clay Clark has been my business coach since 2017. He's helped us grow from 2 locations to now 6 locations. We're planning to do 7 locations in 7 years and then franchise. And Clay has done a great job of helping us navigate anything that has to do with like running the business, building the systems, the checklists, the workflows, the audits, how to navigate lease agreements, how to buy property, how to work with brokers and builders. This guy is just amazing. He's this kind of guy has worked in every single industry. He's written books with like Lee Crockrell, head of Disney, with the 40,000 cast members. He's friends with like Mike Lindell. He does Reawaken America tours, where he does these tours all across the country, where 10,000 or more people show up to some of these tours. On the day-to-day, he does anywhere from about 160 companies. He's at the top. He has a team of business coaches, videographers, and graphic designers and web developers, and they run 160 companies every single week. So think of this guy with a team of business coaches running 160 companies. So in the weekly, he's running 160 companies. Every 6 to 8 weeks, he's doing Reawaken America tours. Every 6 to 8 weeks, he's also doing business conferences where 200 people show up, and he teaches people a 13-step proven system that he's done and worked with billionaires, helping them grow their companies. So I've seen guys from startups go from startup to being multimillionaires, teaching people how to get time freedom and financial freedom through the system. Critical thinking, document creation, putting it into organizing everything in their head to building into a franchisable, scalable business. Like one of his businesses has like 500 franchises. That's just one of the companies or brands that he works with. So amazing guy. Elon Musk kind of like smart guy. He kind of comes off sometimes as socially awkward, but he's so brilliant, and he's taught me so much. When I say that, like Clay is like, he doesn't care what people think when you're talking to him. He cares about where you're going in your life and where he can get you to go. And that's what I like most about him. He's like a good coach. A coach isn't just making you feel good all the time. A coach is actually helping you get to the best you. And Clay has been an amazing business coach. Through the course of that, we became friends. I was really most impressed with him is when I was shadowing him one time. We went into a business deal and listened to it. I got to shadow and listen to it. And when we walked out, I knew that he could make millions on the deal. And they were super excited about working with him. And he told me, he's like, I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to turn it down, because he knew it was going to harm the common good of people in the long run. And the guy's integrity just really wowed me. It brought tears to my eyes to see that this guy, his highest desire was to do what's right. And anyways, just an amazing man. So anyways, impacted me a lot. He's helped navigate anytime I've got nervous or worried about how to run the company, or navigating competition and an economy that's like, I remember we got closed down for 3 months. He helped us navigate on how to stay open, how to get back open, how to just survive through all the COVID shutdowns, lockdowns, because our clubs were all closed for 3 months, and you have $350,000 of bills you've got to pay, and we have no accounts receivable. He helped us navigate that, and of course we were conservative enough that we could afford to take that on for a period of time. But it was, anyways, great man. I'm very impressed with him. So Clay, thank you for everything you're doing, and I encourage you, if you haven't ever worked with Clay, work with Clay. He's going to help magnify you, and there's nobody I have ever met that has the ability to work as hard as he does. He probably sleeps 4, maybe 6 hours a day, and literally the rest of the time he's working, and he can outwork everybody in the room every single day, and he loves it. So anyways, this is Charles Kola with Kola Fitness. Thank you, Clay, and anybody out there that's wanting to work with Clay, it's a great opportunity to ever work with him. So you guys have a blessed one. This is Charles Kola. We'll see you guys.
I learned at the Academy, Kings Point in New York, acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say.
The Thrivetime Show, 2-day interactive business workshops, are the highest and most reviewed business workshops on the planet.
You can learn the proven 13-point business systems that Dr. Zellner and I have used over and over to start and grow successful companies. I mean, we get into the specific steps on what you need to do to optimize your website. We're going to teach you how to fix your conversion rate. We're going to teach you how to do a social media marketing campaign that works. How do you raise capital? How do you get a small business loan? We teach you everything you need to know here during a 2-day, 15-hour workshop. It's all here for you. You work every day in your business, but for 2 days you can escape and work on your business and build these proven systems, so now you can have a successful company that will produce both the time freedom and the financial freedom that you deserve. You're going to leave energized, motivated, but you're also going to leave empowered. The reason why I've built these workshops is because as an entrepreneur, I always wish that I had this. And because there wasn't anything like this, I would go to these motivational seminars, no money down, real estate, Ponzi scheme, get motivated seminars, and they would never teach me anything. It was like you went there and you paid for the big chocolate Easter bunny, but inside of it, it was a hollow nothingness. And I wanted the knowledge, and they're like, oh, but we'll teach you the knowledge after our next workshop. And the great thing is we have nothing to upsell. At every workshop, we teach you what you need to know. There's no one in the back of the room trying to sell you some next big get-rich-quick, walk-on-hot coals product. It's literally, we teach you the brass tacks, the specific stuff that you need to know to learn how to start and grow a business. And I encourage you to not believe what I'm saying, and I want you to Google the Z66 auto auction. I want you to Google elephant in the room. Look at Robert Zellner and Associates. Look them up and say, are they successful because they're geniuses, or are they successful because they have a proven system? When you do that research, you will discover that the same systems that we use in our own business can be used in your business. Come to Tulsa, book a ticket, and I guarantee you it's going to be the best business workshop ever, and we'll even give you your money back if you don't love it. We've built this facility for you, and we're excited to see you.